How's it going, everyone? And welcome to the sixth, I believe, if I can count right, sixth episode of the Geek Chewns podcast, the show that talks about how geek culture inspires and shapes people's lives. And today we have a very special guest, Ariel, otherwise known as Constantine104, a YouTube gamer. And we just had a chat on previously about E3, which was quite amazing. I'll probably link that somewhere, wherever the no, my hand does not.
Wherever the link
My,
things
my
go.
hand my hand doesn't extend to where the cards are. Like your face is above that. Yeah. So how are you doing,
It'll be by me somewhere.
Yeah, it'll be above you. How are you doing, Constantine?
No, I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me again. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool chatting to Constantine. She has very good knowledge of gaming, and I suppose that's what we're gonna be talking about today mostly. I don't know, unless you like some other weird stuff. So what was your first experience with what we would now refer to as geek culture? What was your first interaction?
Well, my parents had me when they were in their like early 20s. So both of them used to be pretty much like geeky and nerdy and gamers. And I remember when I was like really little sitting and watching my mom play Doom and Wolfenstein.
Jeez, yeah.
And I think that was just like the house that I sort of like grew up in. So my parents used to watch like animations and play games and play board games. And after that, it just evolved. Like, I think that was the environment that I grew up in and I loved it. And I never felt the need to stop doing it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Like, I think you're the first one that's actually on the podcast whose parents actually started. I think everyone else was pretty like, I just went out on my own and rebelled.
I was born into gaming.
So do you then self-identify as a gaming geek? Is that your main geekdom?
Okay, I have like gaming and tabletop,
Okay.
which is also gaming, but yeah, those are pretty much like where I associate.
Why don't you actually give us I gave like a quick thing, but I was probably way too short to describe a person. Why don't you tell us like who is Constantine104 at this moment? Who are you?
Who am I? Let me like dig into my soul.
Yes, show us, reveal to us.
Okay, so basically when I was homeschooled,
Okay,
so
interesting.
I never stopped like gaming, and I was the person who used to like do my homeschooling on my laptop. So I used to play games, and then when my mom walks into the room, open up the other tab and be like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm totally doing this." My mom leaves the room, minimize, continue playing. Then after that, I went to go study film.
Okay.
And I was like, yes,
I think
this is what I want to
the
do.
number 2 film student on the podcast.
You see, it's a thing. It's a thing. And the worst thing was when I studied film, I was the only person in my class who actually watched movies. And that was something that just blew my mind. I was like, how is this possible? How are you studying film and you have never seen a film? What is this? You people are idiots. And I hated it. I didn't hate studying film. I hated studying with the people that I did, because it really felt to me like I was the only intelligent person, and I don't think of myself as highly intelligent, but I was like the only intelligent one in just a sea of idiots. And I was like, I can't take this anymore. And I did that for a year, and then I stopped.
So you dropped out. So now we have 2 official film student dropouts on the podcast. It seems to be a kind of a pattern. And that person also has a Let's Play channel, the Kubrickian. Most interesting.
This is where we all ended up, you see.
Yeah.
So then I went into teaching dancing, because I had danced my whole life. I traveled overseas. I've danced in Croatia, Hungary, Brighton. So I was like, well,
what kind of
can't do
dancing?
film anymore. Acrobatics, contemporary, modern, hip hop. But I pretty much got to the point where I was like, well, film isn't for me, so let me teach dancing, which was fine up until the point that I realized nobody that teaches dancing plays games or watches films. So I felt like I went from like one situation where I was isolated and alone straight into another situation where I was isolated and alone.
So I know those feels, yeah.
You see, and like I think like generalization, but a common thing that I've noticed of gamers is that most of us suffer from some or other form of like anxiety or depression or social issues. And in my case, it's super bad anxiety that makes me very depressed, and I don't do well with feeling like I'm alone and isolated from everybody. And basically, the more isolated I felt at work, the more I started playing games again. And it got to the point where I would come home crying from work, sit down, and then be super happy playing games. But then, like halfway through playing games, I'd start getting depressed again, thinking about having to go back to work. And my boyfriend basically, it was a December and we were away, and he was like, no, this is ridiculous. Like, he's tired of this. I can't always be sad and always be crying because I'm unhappy. Like, I have to find something else. Why don't I YouTube? And I've always loved YouTube. It's like I grew up on the whole like YouTube roller coaster. So like as I was old enough to have my own computer and internet connection was for days where like Shane Dawson was big and Jenna Marbles and iJustine. So I like fully like grew up with YouTubers. And I was like, yeah, but what do I do? Like, what would I ever do on YouTube? And my boyfriend was like, why don't you do gaming? So about a year ago, I started doing that. And then I recorded gameplays for about a month and randomly got contacted by Nag magazine to be on their podcast. And then I started doing the Nag podcast. From there, I got contacted by Geek to write gaming reviews for them, which when I'd studied film, I studied film writing. So it was basically just a transfer. How I used to write about movies, I now write about games. So I started doing that. From there, Tickle contacted me and was like, don't you want to write games for me? So I started writing games for her. And then in this period, I was like, well, dancing doesn't make me happy. So I basically quit teaching dancing and I decided to try and make gaming and YouTube my career and my thing that I focus on. And then things just started happening. So I started getting more involved with tech and more involved with Tech Girl. Lucky for me, like all my friend group, because I never really stopped gaming growing up, all my friend group was gamers. So they were super into it and super supportive. And a couple of years ago at Rage, we decided to buy our first tabletop game. And if I remember correctly, it was Munchkin. And we were all like, oh, this is going to be magical and amazing. And we get together now once a week. I think together collectively as a group, we have easily over 200 different tabletop games. So that's pretty much my life.
200 different tabletop games.
Yes. Okay, let me just say something. We have a very big friend group, so that's part of it. But one of the friends in our group is a compulsive shopper. Do you know like how girls buy shoes?
Oh, yeah.
He buys tabletop games.
Okay.
So like if he's happy, he buys a game because he was feeling happy. If he is sad, he buys a game because he's feeling sad. And I think he owns the majority of the games in the group. But yes, that's what we do. So that's been like the one really nice thing that's held us all together, because if I have a look at my friend group, we've all been friends since we were like 12 years old. And now we're all sitting 25 to 35 years old. So some of them are married, some of them have kids, and yet we're still friends and we're still involved and we're still the same group.
How did you meet your friends if you were homeschooled?
I met one friend via an external art class that we did.
External art class.
Oh, well, for me it was just art class, and for him it was intramural art class.
Oh, I see.
But we met an art class, and through him I met a bunch of like his gaming friends. And my other group of gaming friends was their sisters danced with me. And their sisters were like, "You're super weird. You're like our brothers." And I was like, "Is that so?"
Interesting. So, do you play then Dungeons and Dragons?
No. Funny enough, it is for one
200 board games and no
we
Dungeons and Dragons.
No, listen here, we own Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
And we own a bunch of the like extra like Pathfinder expansions and and it's the one game that every week we eyeball and we're like, is today the day? Is today the day we do this? And then every week we're like, oh, maybe not.
Well, I mean, you can't just say you can't just say today's the day and then do Dungeons and Dragons. No, like the DM has to plan like beforehand. Unless you're playing the board games. The board games, I think you can pick up and play, but not like.
I don't think so. Hey, I think even the board games, you either have set stories or you have to write your own. But I think there's still planning that has to go into
there's set stories, but like the dungeons are like randomly generated. Like there's like a pile of like tiles, and then you just so like it's easy to start. Like they are like I would just say recorded, but it's not recorded, like pre-written adventures, and then like you just start like pulling out tiles randomly, and like you pull out like monsters randomly, so like you can like get into a randomly generated game. I hated that. I did not like randomly doing it. So what I ended up doing with my friends was like I'd be like, okay, like lend me your board game beforehand and I will set out like the map.
Oh, okay.
And set out like the monsters, and then eventually I was like, this is dumb, let me just actually get Dungeons and Dragons. Like let me actually get a rule book and like do it properly. And then like I've been playing ever since, although I haven't been playing recently. I've been in a slump. Yeah,
basically you have to come down to Pretoria and then teach my friend group how to play it, and you can be our dungeon master for the day.
Or what I'm planning to do is I need to get the full Fantasy Grounds license, so that I can invite anybody to come and play online through Fantasy Grounds.
Oh, okay.
Dungeons and Dragons. That's what I'm planning to do. But I will come through Pretoria at some point, maybe for Rage. I've got like a few friends. I've got like a few friends up there, and I need to like get there. I just don't have either the money or the time to make a plan. But now I have +1 friend with Constantine.
This is how gamers make friends.
This is how
gamers homeschool children.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite board games then?
You know, it's funny enough. Like I started out super enjoying like dungeon games, and for the last year or so, I actually like card games more. Like proper like card based, like, and it can be stupid, like anything from Flax to like Magic the Gathering. I don't know, just like for about a year now, I'm quite enjoying card games.
Yeah, I'm too. Yeah,
less, like people don't shout and swear as much in card games as they do in like actual tabletop games.
Maybe, yeah. What I realized is that I don't like playing competitive tabletop games. I'm more gravitate towards the cooperative stuff. That's why I like Dungeons and Dragons, because like there's no like winners or losers. It's like just a story.
Side where you play with your friends.
Yeah, it's like just a cooperation. Like everybody must be
Yeah.
playing against the game. I've never been a competitive like person. That's probably why I don't like sports to begin with. Like competition is not my thing, and also like I can't get into esports for that very reason. Like even though it's something like I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to like as a geek, but I'm like I can't watch these other people play Street Fighter. Like I don't
But
even.
you know what? I like playing esports, like League of
Mm,
Legends. I
mm,
love League of Legends. But ask me to watch League of Legends, I would rather die. I hate it.
yeah.
Everybody in my friend group watches the like World Cup and it feels like there's another competition every single month and I hate it. I hate it. I want to be playing it myself
Yeah.
and then it's fine. But sitting and watching it, no, I can't. It's terrible for me.
No, I also can't watch it. But esports is getting big now, especially
Yes, it
in South
is.
Africa. I just got someone sent me a press release about Rush.
Yes, the
Um,
Rage Esports Initiative.
yeah, and I was like, yo, there's money being put into this, and it's only getting started. Like, it's not like it's like a big thing yet. It's like still growing. It's very interesting, but like the sad part is that I'm not interested in the least. I'm interested in the fact that it's happening. I'm not interested in what is happening. Like it's hilarious.
I think it's one of those things. Like last year, there was like esports at Rage,
Mhm.
and I actually sat and I watched some of it. And when you sit there and you're like 10 meters from the guys playing, then I can get the adrenaline rush.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
can get the fun of it and the experience of it and
Mhm.
everything. But at home via Twitch, it's just not the same for me. I'd far rather be playing myself.
I watch Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch. Like
No,
that's what I watch.
no,
That's what I watch on Twitch, and I love it.
no,
I
that
watch
is terrible.
so much Critical Role. I watch our local guys, Bacon Battalion. Carla, did you see Carla at Icon?
Yes,
Yeah, she's cool. Um,
Carla's awesome. She's
yeah,
starting a girl Dungeon and Dragons
yeah,
channel. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She was deciding her name. I don't know what it ended up as on Twitter. The options that she have, I didn't really like it. I was like, oh, these are weird names. But I don't know. Like maybe I just didn't have the context. You know, I'm not a girl. I don't know what games you guys, what names you guys like. But yeah, that's what I like watching because, like I said, I like the cooperative gaming. That's why I also like watch a bunch of Will Wheaton's tabletop on Geek and
Yes.
Sundry. I watched it like I was literally watching that before we started recording. I had to stop like the end of it because we had to start recording, but I was literally watching that. Um,
That was like our go-to because that
mm,
is the easiest way to learn rules for a game.
mm.
Like legitimately, his channel has saved us so many times. Because if we have to sit down and go through a rule book together, it does not end well. Because we have one person always that goes, no, they don't need a rule book. They know how to play this game. Then you're like, okay, what do I do? Oh, wait, let me check for rule book. Now there's already like tempers. And then the one person says this, then the other person like grabs the rule book out of their hand and starts like pointing violently. Like it's so much easier. We decide before the time, okay, everybody, we're playing this game, go watch the video. Everybody watches Will Wheaton play it. We all have like a sort of idea about what's going on,
Mm.
and then we can play. It's genius.
Yeah, no, I love tabletop. I think I've watched every episode. Also, Titan's Grave. I think I've watched Titan's Grave like 3 times. It was that amazing. Um, so was there any like specific like characters in geek culture in gaming that you kind of resonated with or kind of used as a role model for going through life?
Okay, so okay, things are a lot better now, but when I grew up playing games,
Mm,
you didn't get girls in video games.
mm.
Okay, so like I started out playing like Doom. Then I'll never forget. My mother gave me a copy of Leisure Shoot Larry to play
Oh, what?
with the
What?
distinct with the distinct order that I wasn't allowed telling anybody that she let me play this game.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Your mother sounds awesome.
She is.
Yeah.
So I played that. Then I gravitated into King's Quest games, which
Yeah.
were male lead, up until we got King's Quest 7, Rosetta Stone, and you got to play as a girl. And I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And it was like the first time ever that I'd played a girl character. And I was like, this is amazing. It's like me. Yay. And I think I loved that for years. Then I got like a huge addiction to the Need for Speed games, which were male only. And then I discovered Final Fantasy. And I think that is what really like cemented my love for gaming. And then I didn't care if I was playing a male, if I was playing a female. I didn't care what I was doing. I just loved Final Fantasy.
Which are we talking about the first Final Fantasy? Or?
I own every single Final Fantasy game.
Oh, jeez.
From the really, really bad ones that are almost like unplayable, and you have to use like
13.
90%. Like 90% imagination and like 10% what's actually on screen.
Yeah.
I've tried like all the Final Fantasy online games. Like I've rebought my Final Fantasy collection on almost every platform that I've owned. Like I've got a collection, for instance, like on PlayStation 1, then I rebought those same games and the new ones on PlayStation 2, on PlayStation 3, on PlayStation 4. Like it was out of hand at a stage.
Yeah, I also own most of them. I'm pretty sure I own.
Say that was like my love for gaming.
Yeah, on the PSN, I'm pretty sure I own 1 to 9. And I have the discs for 10 and 10 to PS3. I didn't really like 13, so I never like kept a copy, or 13 2 as well. 13 Lightning Returns, I was like, I'm not buying this game. Like that's one of the few games that I watched online, and I was like, I'm fine with that because I'm not giving Square Enix my money. 14 I played a bit of online, but like I said, like I said in the previous episode, I'm not a big fan of online, but those type of games I can handle a bit. Like the only 2 MMOs I've ever really like played in was Final Fantasy 14 and then Neverwinter, which is a Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons game. You don't like Neverwinter?
No.
I thought it was fine. It was free for one, so like I got to play for free, and I'm like a broke ass like student. So
come play Guild Wars 2 with me.
Guild Wars 2.
You won't look back, I promise. It's
I can't get addicted to anything at the moment. I don't have time.
Do it.
Maybe.
Do it.
You don't want me to fail my PhD here, okay? Like I need to finish that. After I'm done with PhD, then I'll come play Guild Wars 2 with you. Okay, that's a promise. But yeah, like as far as Final Fantasy goes, like I played 15 last year. So I have 15, but then like I deleted it because I'm not that interested. I'd like 15 was okay. Like it wasn't
15,
amazing.
I wasted so much time watching the New Year's Eve like fireworks display. Like so much time.
What?
I think I played for a solid like 3 hours on New Year's. And I wasn't playing. I was literally doing a ferry ride, looking at the fireworks, going, it's so pretty. Like, can everybody see? It's just so pretty. Oh, but look at that firework. It's so pretty.
I think you might have a problem, Constantine. We might have to consult some professional help. What did you think about...
your friends message you and they're like, you want to come out for New Year's? And you're like, sorry, I have plans.
Yeah.
Oh, look how pretty the fireworks are.
That's hilarious. What did you think about then the Final Fantasy like fishing VR game?
Yet again, okay, it comes back to bias against VR because I have super bad motion sickness.
Yeah, you're sick, yeah.
And like, really fishing? Like it feels like we spoke about it in the E3 thing, like know your audience, right? How many hardcore, like Final Fantasy gamers are not generally your casual gamers. The moment somebody like really plays Final Fantasy games, they are more hardcore gamers. How many of them do you really think have spent time outside in the sun at the dam fishing? Not a lot of them, okay?
Yeah.
It was fine.
Fishing was frustrating. Like, I lost so many of those lures. Like, it's...
And it was fine, like in game, as like a mini game. And I saw the appeal to outside people who picked it up for the first time and was like, hey, this is cool. Do I think that it like warrants its own VR experience? No, that is ridiculous.
Nope.
That is honestly ridiculous, and no.
No, they should have like saved that money. And like, I feel like the marketing on Final Fantasy 15 was like next level ridiculous. Like,
Yes.
they had to somehow, some way, like recoup all of the money they had spent developing this game, because it's been in development hell since PS3. PS2, like just after the when PS3, like when Final Fantasy 13 was announced, Versus 13 was also announced.
Yep.
And like, it took all of that time for the game to come out. So when the game came out, they were like, okay, we need to market this thing into the ground. We need to make an anime. We need to make a phone game. We need to make a web game.
That was really good, by the way. The movie was amazing.
Yeah, no,
so good.
I love Brotherhood. I thought Brotherhood was good, and the movie was kind of separate, but it was pretty cool as well. Yeah, like Final Fantasy 15 as a package, it's not bad, but I didn't think it was like necessarily amazing either.
I think it was a gateway to Final Fantasy, so it felt much more like they were trying to get people who had never played the franchise before to start playing it. And then for people like me who had played the franchise before, we just go in to be like, but it's so pretty. Like, it's so pretty, guys. And
it's always fun to see like your favorite stuff like in a new sheet of gloss. What's your favorite Final Fantasy?
Definitely X or 12 and X2. Between those two.
So you're excited for the new remaster. When is it coming out?
Funny enough, I really don't know, because I'm no longer excited about the remaster, because I own 2 of the freaking remasters already. And like, it annoys me when they remaster things, because I'm a person who, if I really love a game, I get caught up and I'm like, but the remaster looks so much prettier. And then the moment I own the remaster, I'm like, it's actually pretty much the same.
Yeah, no, I am keen for 12 though, because 12, like, I feel like I was pretty alone. Like, everybody hates 12 for some reason, but I loved it. Like, the fact that we didn't have to like watch a loading screen like to get into fights was like so cool. Like,
amazing.
Like, I was tired of like all of this from 10, the glass breaking. Like, like you sat there for like 10 seconds waiting for this glass break, and for them
and
to
then
like
eventually you know the sound so well you can identify it anywhere.
Yeah, no, but I also love 10 too. But my favorite is 6. Like 6, I think, was pretty special from a story perspective. I think 6 is like one of the greatest stories ever told. Like period. Like, not only gaming, like in any form of media. 6 was like that amazing. 6, I loved 8 quite a bit. 4 was also pretty cool. Am I thinking of the right thing when I say 4? The one where they go to the moon. The one with Cecil in it.
Yes.
That was a pretty cool story. And yeah, 10. I liked 10 too as well. Well, there's a game where you get to play as a girl. 10 too.
Yes.
Yeah, I dig 10 too.
But it was most like both of them. Like, there was 10-2 and 10-1-1, because one was the American version and one was the Japanese version. And they was both followed the same like story arc, sort of. The one was with Titus, where he disappears, and then the next one was where Yuna's looking for Titus.
Oh yeah, interesting. I had a weird moment with my father when it came to 10-2, because I think it was the first game he had ever seen me play where the avatar was a girl. And he was like, why are you playing like as a girl? And I was like, doesn't really matter, Dad. Like, it's just a video game. I was like, it's just a video game. Also, yeah, when it comes to like the whole like women as avatar thing, I think like I had the same discussion with Shay Turi about anime. Like I felt like the Japanese side were way more like progressive when it came to like putting women at the
Yes.
forefront than the Western side. And I don't know whether yeah.
We did for gaming talk at Icon,
Mm,
and one of the questions was like, what do we feel? Should there be more females in gaming? Should the females be dressed like less seductively, more seductively, blah, blah,
mm,
blah? So I think my question was like, I don't really care, but if you can edit a character, so if it's an open world game and I can edit how my character looks, then I would like to be able to choose between male and female.
mm,
And I would like to be able to choose how my character dresses. And
mm,
one of the guys stood up and was like, no, but why am I taking females like away from him? He likes playing games because he likes the females in skimpy clothes and stuff. And I was like, but I'm not.
oh jeez.
I also want them in there. I just want an option.
You want
And if
options,
I
yeah.
had my way, I would like more women in gaming. And he was like, oh, but he's never thought of it that way. And I was like, but how? Like gaming companies, like especially like I love Grand Theft Auto 5. Like I
Mm,
think it is genius. It's one of my all-time favorite games. But like I would love to be able to play like a super psycho girl in Grand Theft Auto Offline.
mm.
And then like they're like, yeah, but girls don't play our game. No, girls do play your
Oh,
game. We do.
wait, so there's no female characters in Grand Theft Auto online?
Offline,
Oh,
offline.
offline. So you're talking about
So
the
the
mainland
story
story.
mode, yes, where you play
Oh,
as Trevor, Michael,
yeah. Well,
and
my pushback, like I'm also all for, women main characters, but I also don't like the idea of having diversity for diversity's sake. Like
yes,
it,
it
it
needs a
it's
reason.
there needs to be a reason, and it needs to be built from the ground up. Like you need to like
Yes,
instead of like trying to force things into a container, we need to build a new container. Like
yes.
Horizon Zero Dawn is an amazing like um
And the story was
example.
crafted for
It
Aloy.
has
It's
to be.
supposed to be her.
It has to
Yes,
be. That's the only way you can do it. Like I don't think like if GTA 6 came out and there was an option to have a girl in it, that would be amazing. But her storyline needs to be
yes.
probably written by a person who knows what they're talking about. So yeah, I would definitely like in the next one definitely have. But obviously like I wouldn't then force one in GTA 5. I mean, that game's already made and like they're not making any
Yes.
new like story mode or anything, which is I think they promised us they were going to do a story mode though, and we haven't heard anything from them like since 2013. And it could have been like if GTA 4 had those side stories with other characters.
All the
Um,
DLCs, everything that came out for that.
yeah,
There was so
that
much.
would have been a perfect opportunity to have
Yep.
a female character in it, but I think they focused so much on the online stuff that they were like, oh, maybe people didn't, they don't need to they forgot about it, so we don't need to do it anymore. And
Yeah.
then we'll focus on GTA 6 whenever that comes out.
Like I said, I'm not really like bothered. It isn't like a deciding factor for me. I've never been like one for, oh no, this game doesn't have a female in it, I'm not gonna play it. Or, oh, but this game does have a female, I'm definitely gonna play it. Like it's
mm,
by no means a deciding factor, but
yeah.
I do think like Japanese anime games, exactly like you said, they've always been so much more progressive. And it's never felt forced. It's just been
Mm,
like a character in their game, it's been there, and you've accepted it. I
yeah.
don't know why we're still in the conversation when it comes to American games that we're like, this game needs a female. No, it should really just be that it's there and that there's enough of it
Yeah.
there that it's no longer a conversation. Like, I
It's
don't know
yeah.
why we're in this conversation.
Yeah, it needs
It's
to
the
be,
same, like,
yeah.
but girls don't play games. We do play games.
They do.
We do. And like I would love to know, like always, where they get this like statistic. Because if I go and think like games don't generally ask you, like Steam, when I registered it, just for example, I don't know if I picked that I was male or female. Like when I started my Steam account, I was freaking 10. I lied that I was older than 18. Like, they thought they would trick me. You can only view this game. Put your birth year in. Ha ha ha. You're not going to fool me. I can just lie about my birth year. I don't know if I put that I was female there. And then they always come with this statistic, like, but only 21.9% of females play games. How do you know? Where does this survey happen that I am just, like, never included in it?
Yeah, no, it's weird, but I think it's just like old marketing practices, like from maybe the 90s or whatever. Like times have changed, and they haven't like changed with them. You said you got you had your first Steam account when you were 10. I don't know Steam.
I think I was like,
I don't know Steam was around that long.
Let's see where the initial Steam came out. I'm gonna do how old I was. When did Steam launch?
I only got Steam last year. Like I was 27 when I got Steam.
Steam came out in 2002.
2002. Jeez.
Yes. So that would have made me. Okay, we're in 2017, right? 2, 5. It would have made me 14 years old.
That's still pretty young. You almost made like twice the age that I would have been when I've got my first Steam account. Which is so weird. But I've always been a console gamer over PC. So also like I try to separate out my PC from gaming, because like I like try to keep like PC for work so that I don't get distracted.
That's why I got a Mac for work. See, I was clever.
And rich. You have to be rich to have a Mac.
I was like, get the thing that games don't run well on.
Yeah.
Do that. You will not be tempted.
One of my favorite memes is one of those GIFs where like how to game on a Mac, and it's just you using a Mac as like a mouse pad. Because that's the only way you can game on a Mac. Yeah, no, that's definitely interesting. But you're like, and I only got Steam to play Fantasy Grounds. So I only got Steam to play Dungeons and Dragons online. That's the only reason why I got Steam. Yeah, interesting.
It's funny how like that dialogue's also changed. Like I used to hate Steam. I was so against Steam when it came out. I was like, this is the worst. This program is slow. It makes my computer lag. It doesn't work properly. This is the worst. And if I look now like 90% of the games I own are in Steam. And that's not necessarily preference, but it's the fact, like today I walked through BT Games again. Like I cannot with like a good conscience be willing to drop 800-900 rand on a game. It feels literally ridiculous for me.
No.
Like especially if it's not a game that I know I'm going to play for long. If it's a story game that I know it has 3 hours gameplay and then it's done, I'm not okay with spending 1,000 rand for 3 hours. It just it doesn't make sense for me. But like Steam has so many sales where you can literally pick up a 900 rand game for 200 rand. That Steam has become like my main form of like gaming.
Yeah, no, the price factor is definitely something that Sony and Microsoft haven't been able to, you know, compete with, and it's only because that they're afraid that the hardware sellers would push back on making their games cheaper than physical copies, which I think is sad because it's keeping the progression of console industries behind. Because I don't buy physical discs anymore. I got no time for that shit. Like if I want to play a game, I will pre-order the digital version of it, and as soon as it comes out, I will download it beforehand, and when that ticker hits 0 on release, I can start playing. You know,
after you've done your like 3 gig launch day update. That is.
Yeah. Do they do updates beforehand now?
No. I got Resident Evil. And I did the pre-install, and I was like, this is going to be absolutely amazing. Ticker hit 0. I was like, play. It is like 4 gig update. I was like, are you even kidding me? Are you even kidding me right now? Couldn't have given that to me yesterday, could you? Oh no, thank you.
Yeah,
and I have really slow internet. 4 GB updates is an issue in my life.
Yeah, no, you have to get on that at least 10 megabits per second. Otherwise, you're just wasting time with your life. Yeah, when it comes to, like, I had this conversation with Kubrikian as well. Like, I've also, I don't like having physical stuff anymore to begin with. Like, I feel like it will become dirt at some point. So, like, I stopped, like, collecting all sorts of stuff. Like, I stopped, my Blu-ray collection stopped dead in its tracks. My game collection stopped dead in its tracks. I don't want physical things anymore. And, like, even, like, one of my favorite games this gen has been The Witcher 3. I bought that initially physical, and then I immediately, like, sold it. Because, like, once I was done with it the first time, I was like, I don't really want to have this physical thing. And then when Hearthstone, what's it called, Hearthstone? Yeah, it's called Hearthstone came out, and Blood and Wine. Then I bought it digitally because I wanted to keep that thing. So, like, I bought the thing twice just because, like, I didn't want this physical thing lying in my house, you know? And I feel like that's the only thing holding back console games, because they have to be like that full price, because they're competing as well with the physical. That's why the prices can't come down, because it doesn't cost as much to have.
But I really feel like you're right. Like, if console prices were like 200-300 rand a game, I would have 50% of my Steam library would be on console. Because a lot of it is games that I prefer to play on my PlayStation. Because I'm a big one. Like, there's some games that I would play on PC, but for example, a car racing game, I will not play on PC. I will not do it. I hate it. Like, I didn't learn to play car racing games on PC, and I think that's like a major setback. But even if you give me a controller on my PC, I don't like it. Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
And yet, like, Need for Speed Rivals, I don't own on PlayStation, I own on PC, because I could get it on sale on PC for a fraction of a price of what it still is on PlayStation, that it was just never worth it for me.
Yeah, that's actually interesting, because I'm the other way around. Like, I played Underground and Underground 2 and Most Wanted on PC, so I can't play like racing games on a controller.
You see, but that's how you learn.
Yeah, like, it's weird for me to even think about how you can control this thing on a controller. It's the same with fighting games. That's why I don't bother buying fighting games for console, because I first initially played fighting games on MAME 32. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
People who pirate stuff back when they were dumbass kids. Yeah, it's like, so I played a lot of like King of Fighters and stuff with my brother. Like, I learned how to play like on a keyboard. So like, when I had to like play like Mortal Kombat or whatever on a controller, I just get my ass kicked. Like, I don't know how to play these damn games on a controller. It makes no sense to me.
Because it's how we learned.
Yeah, it
was like, I bought the Doom collection for my mom for console. I think it was PS4. Yeah, I'm sure it was PS3 or 4. But I bought the collection for my mom, and one of the evenings I was also sitting and I was bored and I didn't have anything to do, and I was like, hey, let me try it. Doom with a controller is shit. It is so shit. And it was the original Doom. It was like Doom 1, 2, and 3. It is awful. It was just the worst experience of my life. I played it for like 5 minutes and I was like, this isn't right. It doesn't feel right. Everything is just wrong. No, thank you.
Did you play, talking about Doom, did you play Duke Nukem back in the day?
Yes.
Duke Nukem 3D. Duke Nukem, like, I'm so afraid to get the new one, but I'm also curious. The one that came out a few years ago. Did you play that one?
Everybody hated.
Yeah.
No, I have it. It's in my Steam library, like, unplayed.
Yeah.
Because everybody was just like, it's so bad, it's so terrible, that like they crushed my spirit before I even had a chance to play it.
Yeah. Duke Nukem's voice is like hilarious.
Yeah.
I loved like his like sound bites. Like, what was the stuff he used to say?
He was like the typical like douchebag, but you loved him.
Yeah. I came here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
I'm all out of bubble gum. Yep.
What are you playing at the moment, or watching, or reading?
At the moment, it's pretty much trying to finish Little Nightmares, which I will say, Okay, like that game. I feel strongly against pre-orders lately, and I never used to. And I'm getting to the point because, like, I don't know, the way that trailers show games and like even gameplay that the developers show before the time and then the finished product just doesn't match up anymore. And it's just happening like more and more frequently with games. Like I know last year at E3 everybody was carrying on about We Happy Few.
Mm.
And I was super excited for that. And I also pre-ordered it. And then I got it. And it stayed in early access and we never got story mode. And I was like, but this is ridiculous. And I didn't really like it anymore. And then this year, like the big thing that I was seeing literally everywhere was Little Nightmares. And I was so excited and I pre-ordered it and I got it. And then it was like 2.5 hours of gameplay.
Oh, jeez.
And that was it. That was like the whole story. And that was if you sucked, like how I suck. I mean, if you go and look online, there's guys that have finished the game in 30 minutes, like playthroughs.
Oh, no.
So
What is the
I'm
pricing on
literally,
that game?
my pre-order was about 300 Rand. And I think the game normal price is about 450, which isn't bad. But if you keep in mind that this was an indie Kickstarter game, it's rather expensive.
Yeah, no,
But like,
pre-order culture is something that is really affecting, I think, the gaming industry. Like, if there's anything between pre-order culture and microtransactions, if there's anything that's going to cause another game crash, it's those two things, because they're getting really out of hand now. Like, we're already getting to that.
microtransactions are the worst.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, when it comes to also like these game stores are becoming like the mobile market, you know, like there's a lot of nonsensical shit that's just coming out, and the us as like gamers can't keep up with what's good and what's bad. And now I think there's also going to be a shift where we're not going to be able to get, you know, reviews beforehand. Like Bethesda's already starting to not give out like review copies before release date, and some people are like, oh, we'll only give it to you like a day before or whatever. So everything's becoming so anti-consumer. Like it's like capitalism going out of control, you know. And like obviously like these people have to make money, but not at the expense of treating gamers like cattle, you know. Like we're not, it's an industry based on like art, you know. It's supposed to be good quality stuff that we are playing, but I feel like the quality stuff is like 1% maybe, and the rest is just nonsense.
And then, you know what, like I feel like they do a lot of is other things that you buy in your life, you have the option to resell. So if I buy a PlayStation 4 and I have it for 3 months and I decide, you know what, Sony is no longer my choice of console, I can take it and I can sell it. But there's so many games now that like you have to activate into your account, and once it's activated, that is it. That like I feel like they're charging exuberant prices for games, and especially like Steam games, for example, you can't unactivate a Steam code. Like when it's in Steam, it's there for life. So they're charging me 700 Rand to buy a game that I can never ever get my money back for. And like more and more I see console games going down that same path as well, which just feels ridiculous for me. Like you're asking people a crazy amount of money for your game, you're stopping them from being able to see reviews before the time, you're showing them fabricated gameplay before your game launches, and then you're being like, sorry, if you don't like it, we only do returns after like 30 minutes of gameplay and you can't resell it. Sorry. Like, not okay.
I was actually thinking about this the other day and how like the future would be, because like the future is obviously going to be that we're going to have a subscription model to gaming.
I'm okay with that.
It's happened with music, It's happened with music. It's happened with series. It's obviously going to happen with gaming. So why don't we just figure it out now before everything crashes? Because I don't want it to crash first and then we figure out that we need a subscription model.
EA must has that.
Yeah.
They have EA Access, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sure it's EA Access that runs with Origin. That is the rent our games system.
But I feel like it needs to be like all encompassing. Like instead of like what I feel like this would be like a happy medium between like, you know, people wanting money and then the consumer side. Like what if we bought like game time on the store? Like instead of like buying games, we buy gameplay time. So like for a you don't agree with that. Like but
do you know how broke I would be? Oh my goodness, I feel like that is such a bad choice. I'm so bad and slow at games. Yeah. I would literally be spending so much money. You have just like raised a nightmare future.
There's only a certain amount of time that you're going to be playing games, you know, and like it's going to be the same.
I do.
No, but like if you buy each game and then don't play through it, that's a lot of wasted money. You know, so like if you buy like this is difficult to explain like over Skype, but like if you buy like let's say 120 hours of game for a month and they cost like what $60 or whatever, you don't really own any of the games. You only like pay for the amount of time that you play. So if you download a game and you only play 1 hour of it and you decide, oh it's shit, I'm going to uninstall that game, only 1 hour of your game time is subtracted. And then if you buy something else and you play a longer time, that's the amount of time that you get out of the thing. And then the amount of money that you spend on your subscription actually goes back to the publisher. So the publishers have more incentive to make more quality games. And
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so
that makes sense.
I feel like that's a more possible way to like fix things on multiple sites. Also, like you don't feel like a dumbass when you like pay $60 for a game and play 2 hours of it. You know,
like I want to see it. My problem with it comes in, okay? Like that's a really good idea, but okay, and this is what we're trying to see. Okay, I've played Ark 4 times in my life. Okay, that I've played Ark. And I already have 84 hours in Ark. And then like one of the games that came out last year, which I really didn't enjoy, was The Division. Like everybody else super loved it and I bought it to play with friends and I was just like, not my type of game. But how many hours? I swear I have a ridiculous amount of hours in The Division. I want to quickly check this. The Division, I have 72 hours in The Division, and I hated The Division. I mean, if we look at like games that I enjoyed, like Guild Wars 2, I have in the thousands of hours spent there. League of Legends, I have in the thousands of hours. You will make me broke.
No, but I mean,
not play my games.
Those are PC games, though. I'm talking about like console.
Console is just as bad. Like I told you, I literally spent 4 hours, like no jokes, in Final Fantasy just looking at fireworks. Yeah,
but I mean, your issue with it is gonna be the money to hour ratio. That's where your issue comes in. You know, that will have to be like trial and error to find like an optimal, you know, space. But like obviously, like different gamers are gonna spend like different amounts of time on the stuff, and like so somebody who's not gonna be spending as much.
Gamers like dream.
Yeah, so like for my side, who I'm like such a uber geek where I'm like doing all of this other random nonsense, you know, like playing like Dungeons and Dragons and like watching anime and like watching all of the Marvel stuff, and like I don't have like money to do all of these things, you know. So like when I like buy a game that I don't like, it cuts me really deeply. Like
I know.
Yeah, but I just thought it would be okay.
But you know, like as much as I think I'm broke, or I would be broke, I agree with you. I do think that is the ideal path for the future.
Or it could be an option, you know, like we could run both models side by side, you know, like an example of it is PS Plus, you know, that's
Yeah.
pretty much similar to what I'm talking about. It's a bit different. But like if I could have a subscription service where it's safe for me to try games without having that, like uh, that lost opportunity of not liking the game, especially when we're not guaranteed to have good games when they're released now, and like broken games being released left and right. Like it's so risky to buy new games
But
these
it's the
days.
Netflix model.
Mm.
It is literally the Netflix model. I mean, I literally swear by Netflix. I live off Netflix. And it is, if I have a look, like if you go in South Africa to go watch a movie in cinema, which I love doing, but regardless, you're looking at 70 Rand a ticket, which is literally ridiculous.
Which is a month of Netflix.
Yes, and if you go with somebody, you're looking at 140 Rand to go watch Batman versus Superman. I have never felt more robbed in my whole life, okay?
I have on my channel.
There's
There's a 2-hour just complaining session of Batman v Superman. 2 hours.
At some point in that movie, I wanted to cry, and it was because I realized that I would never get my money back again. Okay? And Netflix feels to me like it alleviates that. I don't mind paying 70 Rand a month. And when I put on a show or a movie and I hate it, I don't feel robbed. I can literally put it off and go, you know what? Oh, well, I wasted an hour of my life. Let me move on. So, yes, I do agree that for gaming, that is the next logical progression to get behind is paying a monthly fee and being able to, even if you can't like keep the games forever, exactly like Netflix, when you stop paying they disappear. That is the more logical like solution behind it.
Yeah. Okay, we've hit about an hour on the podcast, which is usually where we stop. It's been quite a fun chat having you on. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Let the people know where they can find you on the internet.
You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, pretty much like every other form of old social media that I've probably forgotten about at Constantine104. I still have a MySpace. Yes, I found it the other day. It was terrible.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, Constantine104 everywhere on the internet. Do remember to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more geeky chats like this about how geek culture inspires and shapes people's lives. Otherwise, stay tuned and cheers.
I feel like you should add that if any film students is watching this, they should just drop out now and start a gaming channel because that's their future.
That's where the future is going. It's like like the subscription model of games, and then like film students end up on YouTube. Also, I forgot my tagline, which was, I'm blanking on it now. It doesn't matter. So cheers, guys.